We're born in the moonlight. Ain't no fantasy. Can't breathe in the sunlight.
Hello Aromas, this is Aromie here and welcome back to Changeling. We're here with Allie and Shelly and they've taught me a whole freaking lot about fairies. With the whole, that mushroom fairy ring is actually like a portal and our brownie is giving offerings. Well, I'm glad we checked. I'm glad I came over. Glad you guys know more about fairies than I do. I was seriously glad about that because it had never occurred to me that a little bouquet of flowers might have some kind of ominous effect on the house. I did some research the past few days. I've been doing research for the last week. Well, I guess I do have enough experience to know what to look up. Listen, just keep an eye out for more of these things showing up, and if they do, toss them out. Toss them outside, not in the bin. Thank you guys so much. Anytime. And now I need to head out. Alrighty, you guys could stay for dinner if you want. I'd like to, but alas, there's no magic spell for homework. That's... what's even the point of being a witch, right? We laughed and I showed them to the door. At least if Mom turned up now, I could shrug it off as a study group and not a group of evil. I mean, Shelly kind of looks like she could be our senior. Okay, conniving magical friends and imbuing the house with fairy veins. I watched as Allie and Shelly piled back into the car and waved them off. I was just hugging my arms out against the cold and was about to step inside when I heard the familiar growl of a motorbike. I ducked behind the eaves of the entranceway, watching as Ewan pulled up in Alien's driveway. Weird, since there was no one home. Seemingly materializing from nowhere, a black cat showed up. Walking along the top of the fence, I raised an eyebrow as Ewan picked it up and cradled it against his chest. It looked like he was talking to it. Is he stopping by to talk to Elliot's cat? Because that was weird. Even by fairy standards. I shook my head and went inside. I had other things to worry about. I ran my hands through my hair with a long sigh. With that done, I had homework of my own. It was a little weird stepping back into the real world from an afternoon of potions and fairy magic. The paranormal didn't seem to just easily blend into real life to the point that it became part of every day. Instead, it stood inside its own little realm, where I usually was pulled against my will, and I had to move back and forth between that and normal life. It made it harder to get used to it all when it only seemed to rear its head sometimes. But with luck, Allie and Shirley's visit today meant I'd have to deal with the more annoying aspects of the paranormal far less for now. That was definitely something to look forward to. Chapter 4, setting the stage. Whose stage? A literal stage or... October 22nd. My breath frosted on the chilly morning air as I stood by the bridge. I should have felt 1,000 times better for sleeping so soundly. I didn't know if I hadn't sleepwalked at all, or if I had just given up after not being able to escape. I had nearly bounced down to the kitchen, but that's where my bubbly mood had ended. Spencer had seated at the table with his head in his hands, a picture of dejection. He'd looked up when I entered, and I'd been pretty shocked by what I saw. He was pale with dark rings under his eyes. Basically, he looked the way I'd felt the past few days. But worst of all was the bitter, fierce look he leveled my direction. It was full of hate, and I'd almost taken a step back. For a long moment, we just looked at each other, but then he wordlessly sprang his feet, grabbed his bag, and as he stormed out, there was nothing he could do or say. What's wrong with him? I didn't even know what was bothering him so much. The brownie was not an issue anymore, so why did he look like that? What else was going on? It wasn't like he was going to talk to me about it, though. I guess that's why I just grabbed my stuff and left as well. Staying in the house was just too suffocating, so I just started walking. And somehow I had ended up down by the bridge again, just staring down the stream to where it disappeared in the trees. At least it was peaceful down here. And somehow, instead of giving me any sort of comfort, it was just making me more depressed. Ugh! Are we supposed to be here? I pulled my hands through my hair down the sides of my face. More than ever, I just wanted it all to stop. I just wanted things to go back to normal. No witches, no magic, no fairies. I wanted to go back in time and fix all of this before it ever started. That's what I really wanted, because all the answers in the world wouldn't undo what had been done. The problem was, of course, that turning back the clock was impossible. I could only move forward, though sometimes I felt like I was just being swept along against my will. And the faster I was swept along, the further I was being swept away from Spencer. I don't know how to fix this anymore, though to be honest I never did. I looked up and froze when I caught a pair of yellow eyes staring at me. Hi. It was that black cat again, sitting on the railing next to the bridge, watching me. What do you want? Weird cat. So weird that Ewan would literally stop by Elliot's house when no one was there to talk to it. I narrowed my eyes. Why would Ewan do that unless it wasn't a normal cat? Fairy cat. Cat fairy. I mean, that was a thing. If that's the case, then I'm sick of you too. Though I probably shouldn't say that since it had helped me. The cat, to its credit, just stared back at me, unblinking. It didn't move an inch, not even its tail. For a second, I could almost fool myself that it was a statue. If that thing was some sort of fairy animal, that would mean another fairy was following me around. Then again, considering it might be familiar or something related to Allie, I hadn't remembered to ask her about it, so I probably shouldn't jump to conclusions. What was that? Was that singing? A sudden wave of dizziness washed over me and all other sounds muted. My eyelids drooped as the feeling of sleepiness. Okay, what the fuck? Instant hypnosis. A sleepiness came over me, and I felt myself moving toward the embankment, my feet moving of their own accord. The cat hissed loudly and hopped off the railing into the middle of the street. I was vaguely aware of it. Not safe. It wasn't safe for it to be there, not in the street. I should make it move, but I couldn't shake the sudden need to get under the bridge. There was something there for me, something. I had to find it. I struggled to stop myself from going under there again. Look after the cat, go under the bridge. Why the fuck would I go under the bridge? Look after the cat. I finally shook off the strange trance, for lack of a better word. Color and sound bled back into the world as I forced my feet to move sluggishly back to the center of the bridge. My shaking hand reached out and gently touched the cat's head. You should get out of the street, kitty. I still didn't even know its name. It didn't look too thrilled about me petting it, but it didn't attack, so that was good. I scooped it up and set it back on the rail, deciding it was time to leave. I should head back to the house and see if I could beat Allie there. She'd probably be showing up any minute now. I glanced back at the cat. Thanks for stopping me. Though I didn't know why it would be a problem to go under that bridge, I couldn't help but feel there was something not right about that place. That strange, overwhelming sleepiness. It was too much like the sleepwalking. And I don't know, the way I was just drawn down there so much in the first place. I should just stay away from now on. Unfortunately, I didn't make it quite all the way back before Allie pulled up to the driveway, to the drive. I picked up the pace, jogging toward the car. She hopped out as I got there, and the look on her face wasn't encouraging. And where have you been? I thought I told you to not wander around. Please don't tell me you were coming back from that stupid bridge. I looked away awkwardly. Why do you keep going down there? You know it's not safe. The Spriggan isn't even there anymore. The words fell flat. I mean, given what just happened, the Spriggan was the least of my worries. The Spriggan isn't the only thing lurking around this time of year, and bridges aren't a good place to hang out right now. I perked up at that. Oh, why not? She raised an eyebrow at my sudden willingness to hear her out. What? I'm curious. Because bridges are liminal spaces, places where the barrier around our world sort of thins out, especially this time of the year. I'd read about liminal spaces before, but I didn't think they were a real paranormal thing. It's just not safe, that's the point. I'm sorry, Spencer was cranky again, and you know how I am. When I'm upset, I go for walks. I get it, but it's not a good time of year for calming walks. I bit back a frustrated sigh. I'd come back here for a fresh start in a place I loved, but things were worse than ever. It's never been a problem before, you know. Samhain isn't a new thing. It happens every year, and I've never had issues before. Yeah, but this is Pine Hollow. I don't get why it's so different just because I know about all this stuff now. Allie sighed and motioned for me to get in the car. We hopped in and she carefully backed out of the driveway and headed out of the neighborhood. Because a lot of things ignore you. Oh, wait, what? Because a lot of things ignore you if they don't think you're aware of them. A lot of things aren't even aware of you until you're aware of them. The more you get drawn into this world, the more dangerous it becomes. Why do you think we keep normal people out? Because they can't defend themselves from the things that will go after them. The moment it's apparent a human is aware of all of this. Great! For instance, other fairies are going to be way more interested in you now than they were before you could actively take notice of them. Hence, are concerned about those fairy favors near your house and that fairy ring. So it wasn't just about my family. Well, I didn't want to scare you, and neither did Shelly, but no, it wasn't. Should I be afraid more of them are going to... Wait, what? Should I be afraid more of them are going to try to drag me off into... Okay, it's not complete. Then again, given my current situation, I might just go into some weird fugue state and wander off with them willingly. Hey, it wouldn't be the first time. From what I understand, Ewan had the same problem. Really? I don't have the details, it's just bits and pieces I've heard around the agency. But yeah, why do you think he hates fairies so much? I don't know, I assumed it was some sort of projected anger due to the head thing. Yeah? Well, at least some part of the problem is the fact that they stalked him for a while and tried to drag him off several times. Great! Do you think that's what my sleepwalking is? Some sort of concentrated effort to drag me off the fairy? Because, rude. Well, it could be. Some fae are pretty good at influencing dreams, and I have read a few things that imply fairies might be able to control sleeping humans. And fairies are pretty notorious for wanting to inject new blood into a race. People like you and Ewan are probably prime targets. Human heritage, life force that hasn't been drained out and weakened by fairy. Oh great, so now they want me as a breeding stock. Isn't that charming? Hey, all I'm saying is that it's possible. They might take notice of you for something like that, so you should be careful. Not like they aren't known for whisking people away from the human world. That was true enough. Fairy lore was rife with stories about that kind of thing. And that's only one danger, by the way. There are plenty of other things. You know how busy I've been at the agency. I know, preparing for Samhain and all that. That's right, there are lots of nasty things that wash into town this time of year when the magic currents overflow. You've mentioned the current thingy before, I think. Yes, I have, because it's important. Magic overflow is literally what the whole fuss is about this time of year. Usually the currents are pretty steady, but during times like Samhain, the solstices, or other important times of year, the earth produces way more magic energy than usual. The currents become much broader, stronger. Not only does it make it way easier for paranormal things to manifest, but there are lots of drifters that show up as well. Alright, we haven't had like the black blob or the anything actually. Those are the things that just float around the currents, right? Yes, but this time of year lots more than usual wash in. Oh, and by the way, because Pine Hollow is kind of a weird geographic location, there aren't a lot of outlets for the currents, so things tend to wash in and get stuck here for a while. It's not a super fun time of the year for any of us. We have a lot of work to do to keep everyone safe. It's that dangerous. It can be, yeah. I mean, there are stray gates popping up everywhere. Liminal spaces like that bridge can either turn into a gate to some other place or just pop you randomly into a ghost road where you could get permanently stuck. Things that are usually quiet or sleeping start stirring, waking up. There's some pretty nasty things lurking down in the old mines, and we have to keep an eye on it all, not to mention the drifters. Holy shit. Okay, I still have time. So, I worry about you, especially when you're sleepwalking or taking usual walks like everything is status quo. I know you're not used to having to exercise this type of caution, but it's really important right now, just until after the holiday. I shifted uncomfortably in my seat. I hated the idea I was causing Allie with so much worry. I didn't really mean to. I let out a long sigh. I get it, okay? I get it. I'll be careful. I'm just not used to having to be afraid of bridges and shadows and everything. You don't have to be afraid of it all. Just be, careful. I know. Until the holiday is over. I will lock myself in my room and make Mom slide sandwiches through the crack at the bottom. Crack at the bottom. I don't know that you need to go quite that far. You know me, I don't do things halfway. She rolled her eyes. Anyway, why was Spencer upset? Brownie's still causing problems somehow. I don't think so. I don't know. At this point, I think it's just that the damage is done. He doesn't need more pranks to hate me. I'm sure he doesn't hate you. Yeah, you didn't see that glare I got this morning. I'm sure you guys can still work it out. I'm losing faith, frankly. Well, don't. He's your brother. Eventually, you guys will be able to talk about all this. Well, we'll see, I guess. Allie and I split up to school as we usually did. She headed straight to the office and I loitered around, trying to decide what I wanted to do. Up to the club room, I guess. Might as well. I hadn't been spending nearly as much time reading or researching as I wanted these days. I should probably definitely take the opportunity to do it this morning. I dropped a few things at my locker and headed up that way. I was surprised to get there and find the club was empty. Not that it was always empty. I did sometimes see William or Mark. They have not appeared yet in this route, and I pray they do not, or else I'll feel so sad. Even Ewan once or twice, but people I didn't usually see in the mornings were Danny and Elliot. Oh, my early lovers, both of whom were sitting on the sofa chatting when I got there. Danny looked up and grinned when he saw me. Hey, Chico! Hey, don't usually see you here in the morning. Don't you have practice or something? Oh shit, I don't know. He gave me a slightly sheepish smile. Well, it looks like I had to quit the team, actually. Well, what? He was like the star player or something. I wasn't really into sports at all, but I did know enough to know that he was apparently indispensable or something. He just gave me a slight shrug. Things don't always work out the way you want when you're the only supernatural creature on a team of humans. People were starting to notice that I'm a little different. I didn't exactly know what that meant, but it didn't seem like something I should ask for more details on. It felt like it might be private or something. Still, it kind of sucked. I mean, it was clear he loved competing, loved being on the team, to have to give it up like that. Hey, you don't have to look that upset. I'm hardly the only person to have to give up a hobby because of this. Did I look upset? You kind of did. You okay? Just kind of a rough morning, I guess. But mostly, I don't know. I guess I've been trying pretty hard to balance all this, and it's a little distressing to hear that sometimes it doesn't work out. Well, that's just how it is. It's not the worst thing. Some others have had slightly more dramatic departures. In some cases, it was our hobbies that got us into all this in the first place. Well, really, what kind of hobby does one have that leads to vampirism? Staying at a skate park way too late at night? He laughed awkwardly. Did we ever find out how he got into a vampire in his route? I don't even think so. Oh, and I'm over time. Let me finish reading the sentence, though. Didn't really think I was going to have to watch out for vampires on the way home. I don't remember learning how he got bit. So that's how he got bit? A skate park? He probably did tell us, and then I just forgot, because it's been a hot minute since Willie Elliot. I have no idea. But anyway, this is where we're going to end today's episode off. We now learned about being careful since the gates and everything are very flimsy, and I do not want to ever fall into that trap again of being in a place where I was alone. Wasn't I alone in like Danny's route and maybe William's? Where I know in Danny's route for sure we accidentally stepped into the thing, right? Pretty sure, I think. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today's episode. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Touch it, touch it, touch it.